we are going to bring on the mother of Ahmaud Arbery, who was gunned down in Georgia. And you obviously know this case because this has made national news. And we want to talk to her about some new developments in this case. And in particular, Charles, I want to find out what justice looks like to her at this point.
Right. We know that, of course, Gregory and Travis McMichael are in jail. They have been charged with murder. But we obviously, there's a lot that's going to happen between now and the trial. And we want to find out look, a lot of people have called for justice. They want swift justice in this case. But what does that look like to Ahmaud's family, to his mother?
So you should know that there are options the district attorney, the prosecutor has in Georgia, because the death penalty it could well be available in this case.
Joining us right now is Wanda Cooper Jones. Ms. Cooper Jones, thank you so much for being with us on TMZ Live.
Thank you.
Before we start, both Charles and I want to offer our deepest condolences to you and your family. We're so sorry.
Thank you.
So if you could just tell us what do you see? Obviously, they finally made the arrests here of the McMichaels. What do you see as justice coming out of this? We've heard Jay-Z, Alicia Keys, Oprah, a lot of people come forward saying that they want to see swift justice here. Would your family consider swift justice?
I would like for all hands that were involved, that played a part in my son's murder, to be prosecuted to the highest.
It's interesting. Georgia has a death penalty, and prosecutors have discretion depending on circumstances. So with that on the table, is there anything you think is appropriate here?
Coming from the my point of view, my son died, so they should die as well.
2.5 months where nothing happened. What was going on behind the scenes? Were you imploring authorities to take some action? Were you talking to them? Were they coming back to you? What was going on behind the scenes to help us understand this?
I was making phone calls every morning to the local authorities here in Brunswick, and also to the newly assigned DA Barnhill in Ward County. And I wasn't getting any type phone calls back. I was called Barnhill's office and spoke to a victim's advocate, never spoke to Barnhill at all.
Who had never spoken to Barnhill?
No, I spoke to Barnhill once, and that's when he initially took the case. That was about 3 days after the death of Ahmaud. He was newly assigned to it. He told me he had very limited information to share with me at that time. The only thing that he could really share, that Ahmaud was shot more than once, and he was shot with a shotgun.
Did they give you any sense of whether they were looking at this as a criminal act, whether they were not? Did they say anything like that?
He shared that he was waiting on the autopsy to come back, and also the toxicology report. And he said that he needed those documents to come in so he could determine whether or not he would be bringing criminal charges against those parties.
So obviously, this became a huge national story last week when the video leaked. And what we've heard is that the police were aware of this video before it was leaked last week. Was your family aware that this video existed before it leaked last week?
Yes, I was told initially that there was video.
Had you seen the video?
No, I haven't seen the video.
Was it described to you?
It was described to me.
Has anybody talked to you, Wanda, about the way it was described to you versus the way it actually appears? I know you haven't looked at it, but the way it actually appears when people see it, was it the same or was the description different?
No, what I was told initially that happened was totally different than what I was told was on the video.
What did they say was on the video?
They told me that Ahmaud was running. It was a truck parked at the end of the street that awaited for him to arrive, and he was confronted. There was a fight, and he was killed.
One of the things that I think has been really puzzling to people, and I'm curious how this played for you, the fact that this, as we said, languished for 2.5 months and nothing was done. You yourself said you were making phone calls every day and nothing was done. And the day after the state police take over, they make the arrests of the McMichaels almost 24 hours after they took over. And what the state police said is there was a clear felony offense here, clear reason for arrest. Is that satisfying but also frustrating at the same time?
Exactly. I do believe that the local authorities within the county, they had the same information that the state had, and they failed to make an arrest. And I think it's due to they had very close ties to the suspects.
Can we just understand a little bit about your town? My understanding is it's 50% African American. Had Ahmaud or you, the family, or just the community, have you heard, were instances of racism, were they prevalent there, non-existent? Does it sometimes happen? We want to understand a little bit about the town.
I lived here for 30 years or better. I have known that racism, it does exist here. This is the South. This is South Georgia. I knew it was here, but I never feared for Ahmaud to be harmed while he was jogging, especially when he wasn't bothering anyone.
Was this a neighborhood, do you know, that he jogged in frequently?
I'm gonna say yes. I was not aware that he was jogging. That's not my subdivision particularly, but it's about 3 miles from where we reside. That neighborhood where he was jogging is like 95% white and 5% black. So
Right.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
This has touched the country. And really, in the middle of this pandemic, this really just surfaced as something that everybody had to pay attention to and think about. And it's just so incredibly tragic and difficult to watch and everything else. I'm wondering, is there anybody that reached out to you that really surprised you, that, with some kind of a phone call of sympathy or something? Was there anything that really, particularly touched you?
On Friday, which was Ahmaud's 26th birthday, I did receive a phone call from Oprah, who shared her condolences. And also, she shared that she would be including the entire family in her prayers.
That is really powerful.
There is a third man who's out there named William Bryan, and he is the man who shot the video. He was actually in the car behind recording the video. Now, he has said that he is not involved in this, and said that he's getting death threats now. But I have heard that you do believe that he was involved. I'm just wondering what it is you've heard that makes you believe he was involved.
In reading the police report, his name is included in that report. In that report, it states that he made an attempt to block Ahmaud off, but he was unsuccessful. And with that being said, that if he was attempting to block him off, that he's heavily involved.
Got it. So in the police report, they describe it as he at some point, and I guess we don't really see that on the video, because the video that's come out, he's only driving behind him at that point. But the police report describes him as actually blocking him. Well, that would explain that.
Yes.
So he's insisting that he's not involved, but you include him in the people you would like to see brought to justice?
That is correct, sir.
Are you saying that, based on what you know and think, that he was involved with the other two in what happened, that the three were connected?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So why would he videotape it? That's the puzzling link for me. Do you have any sense of why you think he would videotape that if he was part of it?
My thought is he wanted to capture Ahmaud on film fighting the suspect, and if Ahmaud fought him, that would then constitute for him shooting Ahmaud.
So you're saying that it's a trumped up way of creating a self-defense argument, and you videotape that.
That is correct.
Do you think that that the local authorities should have to answer to any criminal charges?
I totally agree. Racism still exists, and it really exists in the small towns that do things that are corruptible when they think no one would actually pay it any attention. I think that the whole system in Glenn County has been corruptible for a long time.
Did you think, we touched on this earlier, but did you think during that 2.5 months that had passed, was there a moment where you felt like this was just, they were never going to get justice, that there were never going to be arrests made? I mean, like I said, after 2.5 months and nothing happens, were you afraid? What was your worst fear here?
I was very afraid that we would never get justice for Ahmaud. And after I was making the phone calls and I was getting no answers from the people that should have been giving me answers, I became very, very hopeless.
And how are you now?
I feel better. I think the case is moving in the right direction. Finally.
Are the authorities getting in touch with you and filling you in and letting you know what's going on?
Yes. It was the newly assigned DA. She did reach out yesterday to formally introduce herself as the new assigned DA.
Did she give you any assurances?
She did.
Could you share?
That she
No,
was,
she cannot. I'm sorry. That would be confidential.
Can I ask this? Did she seem confident that this is a winnable case for her and her office?
I do. I do think that with the council that I have and also the newly assigned DA, and they work, and I think that we will get justice for Ahmaud.
Did the prosecutor say that as well?
Yes.
Finally, I just wanted to ask you and I don't know how much you're on social media, but I noticed on Friday, and there was a hashtag Run with Ahmaud, where a lot of people, thousands, if not millions, around the world, from what I saw, went out and ran 2.23 miles. I'm wondering if you saw any of that and how you felt on that day, which would have been his 26th birthday.
Yes, I was able to see it. I was very grateful for all the support and knowing that I wasn't standing alone. And it really gave me a sense of hope.